Hello, Michelle. I'm so happy that you're actually joining us in front of the camera. Too often, Michelle, for those of you that don't know, Michelle is all things marketing, branding, graphics, blog, video. She is, incredibly talented. She kind of, does the entire gamut of all things marketing. Anything that you see out in the world that has the Culture Studio brand on it, Michelle would be responsible. So I'm so happy that you're here joining us instead of behind, in front of the cameras.
Yeah, definitely a new feeling. We'll see how this goes.
I know you'll do awesome. Um, so first off, everybody that's joining us that has quite a few times or like seen the progression here, we swapped the studio again. So tell us about that. Why did you want to kind of change like how the layout was in the studio?
yeah, we've played around with a few different layouts in terms of just the lighting and the table situation here. I think it can get tricky when you have multiple people on camera, so you're trying to get different angles to make it like dynamic and interesting and not just one shot the whole time. But at the same time, you have to get the right lighting on both people and get the right backdrop. And yeah, it's been definitely complicated
Yeah,
journey and reiterating over and over again. But I think we finally got a pretty good setup here.
we definitely feel for anybody that has done this before, or like anybody that does any type of like studio lighting, camera, audio work. God bless you. We really appreciate the work that you do, because we had no idea it was going to be so difficult to get it right. But then
Not
again,
easy.
yeah, you're a perfectionist. I know that. So
Yep.
like, I think that, I think that's why this has taken us a little bit of time, but that's a good thing. Anyways, on to our topic for today. We get so many, it's not necessarily new brands, but they would be new to us, inbound opportunities for us to work on projects. And kind of like the first question that we get is like, how do I properly merchandise my e-com store? How do you make the line sheet first and foremost? Like, if you're jumping into building out a line, talk about aesthetic and kind of how you go about mixing products and palettes and so forth.
Yeah, I think it's really good to start off with like some kind of like mood board, which is what I
Mm-hmm.
usually do for like
Yep.
anything we start with. And just kind of capturing like what's trending right now, look into like inspiration, create like a Pinterest board, anything like that. Collect some inspiration and then kind of like make it your own. So then you can look into like what are your brand guidelines? How does it look in line with your brand, but also something that people are going to want to buy and something kind of new. Like I feel like you see a lot of brands that just keep putting out their logo in a slightly different font or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that can get old pretty quickly. So I think it's like about coming up with like fresh new ideas and tapping into like whatever's trending right now, but also sticking with your brand colors and maybe incorporating like your brand's like aesthetic and style so that it feels true to you and that like your fans know automatically like, oh, that is from that brand. Like you have a signature look.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something else we always try to talk clients through right off the bat is like having a full collection. And we're going to dive into kind of some of like of the technical side. We get the opportunity to sit, we say, like below the fold, so we get to see so many great brands and how they execute, because we're on the production side. After they sell a product, then that's when the baton is passed over to us. So what we usually try to give advice on is like building out the collection in its entirety, and choosing products that are one, approachable in different facets, on how they're produced, but also that they're not necessarily all in one bin. And we can kind of like build like a framework here. Is like, first off, you have what we're going to call like bulk production. And in bulk production, we're producing, let's say for, easy numbers, like 50 units. And, we're able to use big screen printing machines. We're able to design wild stuff that, we could go over the sleeves, or, big prints. We're keeping stuff really soft, making, having like I would say like the most high end possible design techniques. We could use embroidery. We could do inside tagging. We have like this like wide range of how we can produce products. Then that next bin is products that could be done on demand. Oftentimes we're looking at, say like cut and sew sublimation. The reason why doing sublimation in the cut and sew workflow is able to be done on demand is because in essence you're just printing CMYK on the actual fabric and then they're being sewn together one at a time.
Right.
So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to produce them in bulk and load them on a big screen printing press or anything like that. And then lastly, there's, what we'll call like time campaigns. And that's like the pre-sale model. That's, kind of like the Yeezy, or like drop, concept where, we are selling those products first, and then we're speeding down and going into production as quickly as we can. When we start with bulk, why do you believe like bulk manufacturing has so many more advantages over like say like the on-demand side where when would we want to go to the bulk side rather than doing one-offs?
Bulk for sure has its advantages with like pricing. You're going to get a better price when you produce in bulk versus like one-offs or like smaller runs. You also get the advantage of kind of like more artistic freedom when it comes to designing your line because you can do all the cool like specialty inks or like threads or get like really creative with it.
Yep.
Versus like on demand you're kind of more limited in what you can do.
Yeah, I mean I know we're probably going to catch a little bit of controversy here, but we will say that as screen printers we believe, and we have digital machines here and we love every time we go to one of these events we're like this is the cool Kornit or whatever the case may be. So it has a place in the market, we agree, but there is nothing like a screen printed product. I mean, like, especially if it's somewhat in like music or entertainment or something like that, I think you could really, see from a mile away.
Yeah. That's like the classic like band t-shirt, you know what I mean?
Yep. So if you're producing in bulk, but you haven't sold these items yet, walk me through like, what is the strategy then?
Yeah. So then at that point, you would have to like store it in inventory, which is a good option because then you're still getting to enjoy like the better pricing and for the bulk production, but then you just store it in inventory. And then from there, you would have somebody, your like production partner or whatever, they would offer 3PL services or drop shipping services. So then they would pick and pack each order as it comes into your e-com store and then ship it out to each individual customer.
Yep. So like, why is that important? First, we'll say is like speed to market. Blame Amazon, don't blame us. But we humans now are used to getting stuff via drone. It's like I actually just placed an order and says it will be delivered today. That's a 4:00, here in Chicago. It's wild, but having your e-com store set up with products that are sitting on a shelf ready to go is like ultra important for gaining that trust with your client. You have a quality product because it was made in bulk. We took the time. We made an art approval. We usually do high-res photo approvals, and now that product is sitting beautifully just waiting for its new home. And when the client gets that tracking that day or the day after, it's like, okay, instant gratification. I'm building trust with this client.
Totally. I think with like that plays into kind of like moment merch too, where I think we've seen a lot of brands that like wait too long to like launch something, or they wait, the shipping time is too long. So you've already like missed that like window where something was trending, whether it's like, I don't know, like a meme or a quote, or you're playing off something in pop culture. If you miss that moment, then like it's gone. You know what I mean? You have to be kind of quick to play on the trends. Yep.
So moving out of the bulk bucket, and onto the on-demand side, I believe probably one of the biggest benefits you're going to talk about is like, with on-demand, whether that's digital or they're hard goods, or it's cut and sew sublimation. The beauty of that process is that you don't have to invest in the inventory. I mean, at the end of the day, although the factory loves you for placing a bulk order, you may want to test these products out.
Yep.
And say like even like that mug that you have there, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you may be a streetwear brand and you're not sure, can you actually sell mugs? That you haven't proven that out. So,
Right.
walk me through, where you've seen success in like going the on-demand route with these products, specifically so that you can test them.
Yeah, totally. Without having to go the bulk production route where you might be wasting a lot of money on inventory that's just sitting around, and then you either have to like
Liquidate it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and we've seen that a lot too. So yeah, like you were saying, I think it's good for kind of like specialty items that you're not sure if they'll work with your audience or not, and you can test it out, and sometimes it does great, and if so, then you can move forward and invest in like bulk production next time to get the better pricing, but it's definitely good to test out.
Yep.
And then I guess with products too, like sublimated items and stuff, you can get super creative with like that kind of stuff because it's like all over patterns and prints. You can print photos all over the garments, so you can get like really cool with it. So I think you might have to sell them at a little bit of like a higher price point, but they can be like super limited edition items too. We've seen brands have success with that. Just launch it as like super special edition, can only get it this time.
Yep. Yeah. You know what else? I know a lot of people say like in on demand, nobody makes money, not the end, like the brand, the factory, nobody makes money. And I've heard that, quite a bit of time, but I will say like the other side of it, nobody lost money. You're going out on a limb a little bit there. Like,
Mm-hmm.
will your clients love this product? And if the answer is yes, then your margin will be smaller,
Mm-hmm.
but you didn't lose.
Right.
Unlike if you made 7,000 of those and then you missed, you would be out
Yep.
tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So, I think like the on-demand products also, especially on the hard goods side, just make your brand feel like it's complete. When you have
Totally.
these, hat, hoodie, bulk,
Mm-hmm.
all these like products that you call like evergreen or, their moment merch where you know
Mm-hmm.
that they're going to be big and you want to get them out quick.
Yep.
But then you have all these other products that make you feel like I'm not just a t-shirt. I'm
Exactly.
like an actual
Give
brand.
some variety.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Especially like different price points, I think is important too when building out like an e-com store. Like you want to have price points for kind of everybody in your audience. Not everybody wants to spend like a ton of money on maybe an expensive hoodie or like a more expensive specialty item. So it's nice to like round out the collection with like maybe a mug and then a
Yep.
more expensive item.
Yeah. Yeah. We've been, playing with like the concept of like all these different, custom objects and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just on a call. I got this box from like, this group that I joined, and like, I now have all these like weird little planters and mugs
Yeah.
and stuff like that with a brand on it. And I don't know, you just like, you like things like that. I don't know why we do,
Yeah.
but like, I don't know, maybe, you call them collectibles or something like that. But like, it just makes the brand feel well-rounded. So, okay, now going into our favorite.
The timed campaign.
Yeah, the time campaign. Walk us through like the concept of a drop or a time campaign, and probably everybody is thinking like, okay, how do I do this for my brand? What is the workflow? Okay, I just put something up for sale, and then what happens after that?
Yeah, so the time campaign, basically, just to give like the elevator pitch, it's going to be like limited edition, limited time only drop. So basically, let's say, for example, you could open your store, say the sale is launched for 72 hours only, close the sale after that, collect whatever orders came in, and then you hand that off to your production partner, or they're already routed to your store and they have it connected to their shipping platform. So then they collect all the orders, they start producing, and then goes into production, and then they pick and pack each individual order and then send it out to each individual customer. So with that case, it is a little bit different than just having the inventory sitting around. The benefit is that you don't have to take an inventory stance, like you don't have to
Yep.
pay anything up front. You take all of the customer orders in, collect all that money, and then you pay your production partner for all the
Yep.
all of that. So that's the good part. The con to that though is that it's a longer ship time. So typically, like, we tell people to put a disclaimer on their website that says expect your order
Yep.
like 2 weeks after you order, because it has to go into production and then ship out from there. But yeah, time campaigns are definitely fun, and they see a lot of traction. We have a lot of clothing brands we work with that have done super well with them, because I think you just build up this like sense of urgency and hype with like the limited
and that like
edition
you'll never
factor.
get it again.
Yeah.
You know, like with the bulk stuff, it's almost, even I have so many things in my cart. Like I like every brand that I buy, everything that they are, that they make, a lot of products are just sitting in the cart, because I'm like, I'll wait till they go on sale, or like, I didn't get around to it. Like with a time campaign, you, like you said, you make this like, super sense of urgency of like, okay, this is going to be there for 48 hours. It's going to be limited edition, and then it is gone. And I think, one of the most gratifying things that we get to take part in is like seeing the aftermarket on these products, like go to StockX or eBay, or like we're like, hold on one second, how much is this being resold for? Like, wait a minute, we charged like $6 for this, now it's getting resold for $200 or something like that. But so this, the other thing is, like when a new brand comes to us, usually a little more well established, or somebody like just like with this like, crazy concept, or they just have the bravado to make this comment. But I've heard so many times like, okay, I'm going to put a time campaign and I'm going to break your capacity. As like so many people have said that, and we're like, yeah, okay, well, that did happen one time.
So once upon a time we had a 217,000 unit drop shipping campaign. I always joke that I still have like dreams about the printer label, just like printing
the zebra.
Just going off all day printing these like shipping labels.
No, this was through a license holder. We're always on the manufacturing side. So this was a Mr. Beast drop, for a license holder that we've had a long relationship with. And they kind of put it out to us, was like, hey, we're going to do this drop. We're not really sure, how many units we're going to sell. And, I was like, Michelle's knows everything about drops. Don't worry. Like this is going to go off perfect. And then the orders just started ting, 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 coming in. And we couldn't even believe it. Like, even like, okay, so how did that execute?
Yeah, so basically, he held like a 24-hour live stream, and it was celebrating him hitting 1 million subscribers on YouTube or something. So he held that on his live stream, and then he also made the commitment that he was going to hand sign every shirt, which generated so much hype over it. So yeah, within 24 hours, it generated that many orders. And then once it closed, so we connected our shipping platform. And then from there, we kind of we just had like assembly lines set up where we had all these boxes of, t-shirts and
oceans
hoodies.
Of t-shirts.
I'll try to like insert some pictures and videos that we have from it, because it was like insane.
That'd be awesome.
Half of our production floor back there was just filled with boxes and boxes. But yeah, from there we kind of just set up assembly lines, and we just had people like picking and packing. So we printed out, the packing slips, and then you would hand it down the line to somebody. They would fold up the shirt, and then we had a sticker go out with every order. They'd put a sticker in, slide it in the poly mailer, slap the shipping label on, and then
put in the Raptor cage.
Yep.
I was
insane.
If anybody's ever seen like the USPS, I guess I call it a Raptor cage. It looks like it would house a Raptor. But I mean, we just filled, hundreds of them, and it was such an undertaking. It was so many products going to so many houses. But the reason why we tell this story is that like it is possible, and sure, you may not have the audience, that Mr. Beast does, but even no matter what your audience is, then scale that down. It is possible if you can create a following, and if you can create a brand that people resonate with, then this time campaign concept could be magical. Because as you said, you're not taking the inventory stance. You get to do that same testing that you would with on demand, but you then have all the options, even options as far as physically hand signing the garment. When you go that route. So yeah, that was absolutely something I'll never forget.
Insane.
Yeah.
Insanity.
And I hear that label maker in my head. Anything else that you want to kind of mention as far as like, setting up the e-com store? I know this can probably span out.
Go on and on and on.
Going into so many other ways.
I think setting up an e-com store could be its whole own episode because there's so much that like goes into it.
Yeah, I think we can go in there. We can probably go into packaging next on another episode. But most importantly, like anybody who is watching, the audience, if you want us to take a deep dive into how we set things up or any type of other process, the frameworks on putting bulk, on demand, and time campaigns into one store, anything conceptually like that strategy, please feel free to comment on any one of our channels. Michelle, thanks a lot for joining, and thanks for everything you do, making all of our content so incredible. You're amazing.
Awesome. Thanks.